My name's Ken Ziegler. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I am a senior environmental health scientist with the city of Albuquerque in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Or as the senior environmental health scientist for the environmental health department for the city of Albuquerque, the section that I'm in, we're in charge of um, monitoring the groundwater for the city of Albuquerque. So we have about 170 wells that we routinely test. We go out a couple times, well, once a year to test them, and a couple times a year to do water levels on them. So just to determine where the water is in the well. And then that once a year we do go out, and some wells we do them twice a year. We go out and we want monitor them to, we take samples and then we send them off to a lab, and the lab analyzes them for a big group of chemicals we're looking for. And we're doing that to determine, what the groundwater quality is for the city of Albuquerque. We also, as you can see behind me, I have a drone. We do drone flying for our group. We do aerial surveys that are accurate to, maybe a centimeter or two with those drones, and that's to determine like subsidence of those landfills. So that's really, what I do over here as part of environmental health. Along with, there's multiple things that ever always pop up. That's typically typically what we do. Any given day I can be my truck is just outside City Hall. I can run to my truck and run to one of our wells in the city, or one of our landfills, or whatever I need to go to. And there's certain days where I don't even come in the office at all. It's just straight to the field, and I do my field work for the day, and then I park the truck and go back home. And that's a typical day for me. And the thing that's nice about this job is it's not just being in the office all the time. So I get to go out. Albuquerque's beautiful. We have a lot of beautiful days. I get to spend a lot of beautiful days in some really beautiful places. We have some wells that are in some beautiful settings on the Bosque, things like that. So it's really nice. We get to kind of enjoy the environment that we're trying to protect. So that's one thing that's really nice. And one of the things I always said that's nice for me is I feel like in a given week I can spend half the time doing something really mental that takes a lot of thought, and I'm doing a lot of computer work, computer modeling, graphic information systems, so mapping, doing maps and things like that. And then the other half the time I'm doing some physical labor. So it's a nice split, a little bit of hands, a little bit of your head. So it's a little split between using your hands and using your head. So it's good for that. For me, in high school, I had a really good biology teacher my senior year of high school who, did a really good job of treating us as almost, peers, and really gave us the ability to do um, the type of work that was seen probably more like in a college type career, so our college type lab. So we got to do some really interesting stuff. And so that teacher, really opened up the idea of like, yeah, not only did I like science, but I was good at science. There's some other maybe teachers I had who I didn't quite get that connection with, but having, one really good teacher who was able to, connect with me and let me know that, yeah, this is something you're good at, and it's something that, you enjoy, that helped. And then, years down the road when I was in college, um, knowing that I had success in the past in science. That's a career I went. And then really environmental science, it was one of those things that the people I was hanging out with at the time were also going into this type of major. And that really, I saw what they were doing. They had just graduated, and I saw what jobs they were getting and what they were doing with their jobs. And that really interested me. I think there's a lot of good teachers along the way that, helped. And, I also, growing up, I played football. So, being part of a team, that always plays into when I'm working, having working with the other people I work with in my department, they're always interested in, you're always interested in trying to help someone out and trying to make the group, better and stronger. And, it's not always about yourself. And I think that being a little bit of selflessness, coming from playing team sports, growing up like football and soccer and basketball, um, doing those types of things definitely play into, my career now. Having, someone who's like the coach, and, having, your other teammates and helping them out. And I was an offensive lineman in high school. And so not really a glory position, but you were necessary for the team. And so sometimes you do things around, around the city or in your job, and they may not seem the most glorious thing, but they're definitely important for, the department or the city as a whole. I have a Bachelor of Science degree, environmental science from Wright State University. There's multiple universities that will give either a BA or a BS in environmental science. It's pretty routine. Um, And that's some of the credentials I have, or some of the certifications I have is there's an OSHA certification called HAZWOPER, which is a hazardous waste operator certificate. We're required to have it. And even though I don't ever really handle hazardous waste, it is one of those things where it teaches you how to work in a potentially hazardous environment. And so you know about hazardous situations and also how to deal with them. And so that's one of the things that everybody that we work with in our section has is you have to have a HAZWOPER certification. I got it in college, and then it's a 40-hour class you take in college, and then every year I have to get an 8-hour recertified in it. So I have to take a class every year for 8 hours, and you go over everything and you remember everything, and you learn about I joke around sometimes like 8 ways to die doing something wrong, but it does keep you. It's a good refresher to remember that you are potentially working in a hazardous environment, and what hazards exist. And so we use that all the time. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the FAA certification for the drones. And so in order to fly the drone commercially, and the city is considered a commercial application, we have to get that certification. So those are some of the certifications I have, and like I said, a BS in environmental health science. When someone comes to you and they say, hey, we want you to do this, your first gut reaction shouldn't be no. It should be, yeah, let me do this and let me see if I can learn something from this, because chances are there's something you're going to be able to learn from it. And so there's a lot of opportunity that I've gotten through the years just by able to say, yeah, I'll give that a try. I'm pretty technologically savvy, so it helps to be able to do that. But I think anybody can just say yes. And I think that's a big thing for me. And then the other thing I would mention is when I was in college, most of my career was shaped by having an internship with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, because we were required from our university in order to graduate to have an internship. And to be honest, I learned more at that internship than I probably learned at most of the courses I took in college. And it's just because you got to finally learn, what it was to work in the field. And so, maybe you can't get an internship out of high school, but you can do a job shadow. You can always, most professionals are more than interested and more than welcoming to let you even, come and do a job shadow for a day or a week. Or, if they do have an internship, the city of Albuquerque has internship programs. And I think, it's good to know, because it's good to see, like, what does this type of person, what's this person's job entail every single day. And for me, having an internship, and luckily it was a paid internship, which was even better. As a paid internship, I was able to go and see what the workers did there, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. There was people I saw that they had a good living and they were happy with their jobs, and that was important to me.